My name's Dick Bennetts and I'm the team principal and also the managing director of WSR, which is West Surrey Racing. My interest in cars started from when my dad used to take me along to race meetings, a street race in my hometown. We had this Dunedin street race and we would go along and have a look, and there was touring cars, saloon cars, single-seaters, and cars from overseas would come to this race. It became quite a big event. The engineering side of cars was fascinating me. I'd be looking at these cars and wondered how this worked, how that worked, which led me on to my first job in an engineering machine shop, and I took a passion for modifying my friends' cars and road engines and developing them, and it just snowballed from there. Here we have I have a collection of helmets I've kept over the seasons, and here we have 5 British F3 champions and 1 British touring car champion. Here we have Mika Hakkinen's helmet, Rubens Barrichello. This is a replica of Ayrton Senna's one, given to me by his father. Mauricio Gugelmin and Jonathan Palmer. And Colin Turkington in the middle here is our 209 British touring car champion. Just kept them all because they're good mementos. I spent the first 18 months working for a small race engine building company in Twickenham. Then I sort of got bored with that, so I was looking to get into chassis work. So a friend of mine was working at March Engineering in Bicester. So I applied for a job there, got the job there on the race team that was doing Formula 2, European Formula 2. That led me on to then working for an American Formula 2 team, Fred Opert Racing. He had me to and from America building engines, and so I had an opportunity then through Project 4 Racing, which was Ron Dennis's team, and it was much more local to where I was living, so I left Fred Opert and then joined Ron. Ron had done some contract deal with BMW Munich to assemble 24 or 25 of these BMW M1 coupes. We were working stupid hours, doing it, 16 hours a day. And then we'd finished them all, absolutely shattered. We thought, right, we need a holiday. And then Ron said, right, just one more, we're going to run it ourselves. Oh, okay. Who's the driver? I can't tell you. So we built the car. We'd finished the car at 4 a.m. in the morning. We were supposed to be at Silverstone at 9 a.m. And we were sitting there with the car in the pit lane, and then in comes a helicopter. Oh, who's that? So out hops Ron and this other gentleman, and it was Niki Lauda. So we went, oh, this is serious stuff. So yeah, we ran Niki that year, and we went on to actually win the championship. At the end of 1980, Ron was moving into Formula 1, and he'd asked me to actually run his testing. 6 months we hassled and tried, what we're going to do. But eventually I decided, no, I don't want to do it. I was committed to help a friend of mine, David, who I came to England with. So we had an inquiry from this guy, Mike Cox, who owned West Surrey Engineering. And they come along, and the young lad with them was a young lad called Jonathan Palmer. And they'd been running Formula Ford only. And we went to Goodwood, Stefan drove the car, Jonathan hopped in, and Jonathan was pretty impressive. I thought, oh, this bloke's good. So they bought the car, but they rang me a week later and they were been testing, but they went slower and slower. They couldn't get the car back to the speed it was. So I reset it up for them, helped them out, went for a test day, and Jonathan even went quicker than what Stefan had done. I thought, this guy is good. But I said to the guy who'd bought the car for Jonathan, I said, you waste your money if you don't have someone to run it properly, because running a Formula Ford is a totally different car to a Formula 3 car. He actually said to me, what was I doing? I said, I'm going home, I'm going to help a friend, and I'm not sure from there on. So we did a deal, a verbal agreement. I got on the plane home and we set up West Surrey from 12,000 miles away, and then we went on to win the championship again with the same car. The car here is actually a double championship winning Relt Formula 3 RT3 with a Toyota engine. It belongs to Jonathan now. Won the championship with Stefan Johansson, and then the mentor of Jonathan's, Mike Cox, he bought it for Jonathan at the end of 1980. We actually rebuilt it. It was between 4 and 5 years ago now when Jonathan first asked us to do that, and he was looking at doing Classic F3, but it's subsequently been sitting there for 4 or 5 years, rebuilt, ready to race. Because we'd won the championship in '81 with Jonathan, there was quite a few drivers wanting to run with us, and as we were still a relatively young team, I probably should have expanded to 2 cars, but I didn't. I wanted to just focus on one. It's my business hat wasn't on, it was an engineering hat. And so we signed up this young Argentinian lad, Kiki Mansilla, and we struggled initially. He was hard work. We knew he was quick, but driving a car with slicks and wings on, he was struggling. So it took us a while to get to the bottom of the problem, but we found it was his understanding of whether it's the English or not, but understeer and oversteer. So once we cured that, he went on to finish second in the championship. Ayrton said, I want to have a test in your car, Dick, because if you finish second with Mansilla, he said, I didn't rate him because, you know, I raced against him in Formula Ford. So we did a test at Snetterton and he was very quick in the Mansilla car. So we did a non-championship race at Thruxton and Ayrton put it on pole, won the race by 13 seconds, I think, fastest lap over Martin Brundle. So he said, I'm very happy, shook hands, I want to drive for you next year, and he got on a plane back to Brazil. And when he arrived back quite late for the next year, we had a brand new car sitting there for him, and he said, where's the other one? I said, well, we've sold it. Well, but I liked it. I said, yeah, but we give you a new car each year. But there's nothing wrong with that one. I said, no, but you start with a new one. It's an evolution of the one you race. We started the year with Ayrton and it was a dream come true. We won the first race, second race, third race, fourth race, and we thought, oh, this is unbelievable, you know, we've won 4 out of 4. Then it continued. We finished up winning the first 9 races. I thought, this is far too good to be true. One day the bubble must burst, and sure enough it did. Round 10 we had such a lead over Martin in the British side. There was a European round at Silverstone which included a British race within it if you ran on the British tyres. But we had such a comfortable lead, we chose to go on Yokohama tyres to try and win the outright side of the Silverstone race. Unbeknown to us, Eddie had run Yokohamas all the year before in European F3. So when he heard we were switching, they switched to do the outright win, and of course Martin got pole, we were second, and Ayrton struggled a bit to the point he ran off the edge of the track, and we think he picked up a puncture on the left rear, and when he got up to the Woodcote chicane, he lost control and went into the catch fencing. So that was the beginning of a bad spell. So then back onto the British Championship with back on the Avon tyres, we just started to struggle a little bit with straight line speed. And to keep up with Martin, we were running a bit less downforce, which then means you can't brake as late and can't get through the corner quite as quick. So it had us baffled for a while when Martin got that little edge on us, and that's what had us a bit puzzled to how he was doing it. And when we found out he had had an engine rebuilt with a modification done to it, that got alarm bells ringing. So that's what led us to go and have ours rebuilt, but only for the final round. After we'd won the championship with Ayrton, the British, then we won Macau as well with Ayrton. That was very good because no one had been there with F3. This is probably one of my prize possessions and trophies. It was won by Ayrton Senna. The first time we'd been to the Macau Grand Prix, 1983, and he won both races, and we came away with this beautiful trophy On the 747 Jumbo coming back to the UK, it was filled with champagne I don't know how many times and passed around I think every passenger on the flight, so it's got a good history to it. So 84 wasn't the best year, but 85 we had Ayrton's friend Mauricio Gugelmin, and he'd won the Ford 2000 Championship and stepping up to F3, but there'd been a big regulation change. They'd gone from what we call full ground effects cars to what they call flat bottom. So you lost a lot of downforce from under the car, and the route was a little bit late arriving, so we didn't get much time for testing. Mauricio was very good with his feedback, and he kept saying there's a problem mechanically, not aerodynamically. And it took us 3 or 4 race meetings to find it. We stayed at our workshop till midnight, 1 AM, and we eventually found what we thought was the problem, why the car wouldn't handle as good as it should. So we got some new parts made in a hurry, went testing, and straight away we were on the pace, started to win races. And the final round was at Silverstone Grand Prix track, and we had pole, and we won the race, which gave us the championship, and again led on to do Macau, and we won both races again. So our Brazilian connection in Formula 3 and doing Macau was a good one. It came to 1990, and our young Marlboro driver then was Mika Hakkinen, and we knew he had a lot of raw talent, and he was great. We won the British Championship comfortably because we won it with still 3 races to go, because we always used to go to the wire, would be the last meeting, which is stressful. The Philip Morris boss from UK, Graham, he asked us if we could do 3 European rounds. I thought, oh, okay, but we've never done that. We've never been to Imola, we've never been to Hockenheim, we've never been to France. We packed up, went off to Imola. Imola's where the Formula 1 races were, and a long straight, but also a lot of twisty corners. So Mika and I and the other engineer, we went round in the hire car for a few laps, working out what downforce we should run on the car. So we thought, oh, let's start at medium downforce. And of course, when it came to qualifying, all the locals, they knew to trim their wing out. So they all dropped their rear downforce down and balanced it. And we were still running medium. And hang on, they've caught us out here. But they were quick on the straight, but we actually gained through all the twisty sections, so we actually got pole position, and we were like, wow, where did that come from? But Mika's ability to learn a new track as well was incredible. We took off in the race, and he came around in the lead comfortably, and red flag. So I said to him, we didn't have pit-to-car radio then, we had to stop and plug in to him, to talk to him. He said, oh, there's some car just spun, but they shouldn't have red flagged it. So they cleared the car away, start second time, comes around again, leading, red flag. What's going on? This time he said, oh, another car's just off the edge of the track. He said, they don't have to red flag it. I said, well, maybe they're red flagging it because we're in the lead. So on the third start, they let the race run, and we won it comfortably. So the next round then was Hockenheim. On the Friday evening practice we had, we were something like 20-second quickest. It was embarrassing. We sent Mika out on the old tyres Saturday morning, 8:15 in the morning, quite cold. He come round, thumbs up, misfire's gone. So he pitted, and then we put the new tyres on, and Mika went out, 2 or 3 laps, bang, pole position. So by that stage, Michael had gone out, but he'd used the best of his tyres, and he couldn't get near us. So we're on pole, and we won the race by 5 seconds or so. So everyone's very happy again. We'd gone and beaten the cream of the German F3 Championship with an unusual car, this Relt. I had an opportunity to move into super touring through a Kiwi driver, Paul Radisich. He was driving for the Works Ford team, and he phoned me one day, he said, come down to Brands, have a look at this British Touring Car Championship. I thought, okay, I went down there, and he introduced me to the Ford people, and Paul rang me after the race meeting and said, you made a good impression with Ford, what you've been doing in Formula 3. And I said, well, Formula 3 has nothing to do with touring cars, but he said just the way you operate the team and how it works. So we finished up running the Ford Works Mondeos for 3 years. The last year we were with Ford, we had Nigel on board. The Ford marketing gave us a budget to do 3 rounds with Nigel, and up till then I was never a Nigel fan, but I must say now I am, because he was certainly impressive in the wet conditions at Donington. He crashed in race 1, but he started from the back of the grid race 2, and he came through into the lead, which is apparently still one of the best ever touring car races that people rave about. Was Nigel Mansell 1998, coming from last through to first. He didn't stay first. He got overexcited and finished 4th or 5th. But a fantastic race to watch, and he really loved it. He enjoyed it. The final round of the Super Touring era in 2000, we were running at Silverstone in an evening night race, and we actually won both races. So we bowed out of Super Touring, being the winner of the final 2 rounds with Tom. One of the things that stands out in my memory is the 3rd race at Mondello in '04. Because it's a very bumpy track, the cars did actually make more contact with each other than normal, because the cars are bouncing around down the straights, through the corners, and I remember Anthony was attacked by Matt Neal, and we finished up with a rear door hanging off. So of course in that situation you get black flag, you've got to come into the pits and fix it. So Reedy dived into the pits, and the guys were all ready because we could see it, and they had tank tape all ready, so we hurriedly taped it up, got him out again. It didn't look the prettiest, but meanwhile Colin was fighting his way through, and Colin had a knack at turn 1 of getting past people. Virtually all of his overtakings in that race was done at turn 1. He had a different line in, which gave him a good exit out, and he eventually got Jason on, I think 1 lap to go, 2 laps to go, and he went on to win the race. Being in Ireland, everyone thought he had the advantage of knowing the track, but a lot of people hadn't realised he's from Northern Ireland, not Southern Ireland, and it was a great achievement, and that's when we could see the talent coming out, and he was only 20 years old then, 21. This is a collection of our 2017 trophies so far this year, and we've got the front ones here are all winners from Colin, Rob and Colin again. Here's hoping we can add to our collection. After the MG, we ran that in '06 with RAC sponsorship, title sponsors they were, but because you couldn't buy an MG ZS then, RAC asked us to look at an alternative car that was a current car that you could buy to go racing. We didn't have time to build one, and we didn't have the budget enough then. So we chose BMW Motorsport in Munich. We're producing this 3 Series, 320 SI they called it. It was a special edition, and we bought them in kit form from Munich, 2 cars. So we ran them 07, 08, 09 with RAC sponsorship. In 09 with Colin, we won the championship outright. But then this new regulations NGTC came in, so we were very fortunate to have some sponsorship from eBay, and they supported us financially to design and build the new little BMW 125i, which is we're still currently racing. This is where all the work's done, preparing the cars for the next race meeting. So we have 3 BMW 125i M Sports, and they are stripped and rebuilt every race because of the tough conditions in the BTCC, and the performance side is that we don't leave any stones unturned, that the suspension, gearbox, diffs, engines come out, and everything gets checked over, new parts fitted. So the crew of guys based here are 12 odd guys, and then at a race meeting we have 25 to 30 people to run the 3 cars. We got to Croft Circuit, we finished first, second and third in race 1, which we've never ever achieved before, a 1, 2, 3. We've had a few 1, 2s, but never a 1, 2, 3. But then each driver, Andy won race 1, Sam won race 2 and Rob won race 3. So to actually have a 1, 2, 3 and to win all 3 races, I thought this was, dreams come true. Having 3 good drivers on board is then you've got to manage them. Only one can win the championship. And they're all capable of winning. So this is, but it's a good problem to have. For the future, we've built up our relationship with BMW. The BTCC is the championship to be in the UK at the moment. It's the television exposure, the crowds that come along. We get 40 to 45,000 people. But we are currently looking at some alternative or additional championships. We've always got to be at the sharp end of the grid and to be on the podium. That's where you get your most exposure, being first, second or third, preferably first. I wouldn't really change anything. Motorsport's tough, and to be at the front is hard work. It's a business where you can enjoy going racing. To me, you have to be happy what you're doing, and we have had a great spell right through the years from when we first started WSR. The amount of championships we've won, Formula 3, touring cars, the amount of people you meet, travelling around the UK, few races abroad. It's a great life.